Hello and welcome to another assembly video. I'm Rick, creator of Revelation Skirmish, a destructive combined arms miniatures game that you can buy pre-printed models from us or you can 3D print them yourself from home. Now in this video, I'm going to be assembling a ORCA, or more specifically the subfaction Haven Musketeer WarMech. You can purchase this model from our site, whether it's the STLs or the physical print. The link is in the description below. Now this version of the kit is made up of a number of parts. We've got the medium or 50mm WarMech base. Notches are going to indicate your rear arc. So you've got the torso, the cannon, which will be plugging here into the shoulder, an optical sensor, the right and left arm. Now with the right arm, you're going to have a shoulder panel that we're going to be assembling. You're going to have the left hand to go with the left arm, and then you're going to have the right, left leg, and the pelvis. Now, normally what I do is I assemble the legs with the pelvis first, but with the Musketeer, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the optical sensor right here underneath the nose, or right under the face of the torso. Now with this piece, it's just on a little peg. It's kind of like one of those security camera domes that you see when you go to different department or grocery stores. So the best way to be able to tell, because it's kind of small to show you here on the camera, there is a piece, like a rectangular piece that goes right down the center, but it's only on the front. The back side is smooth. So we'll know where the front is just by feeling alone. We can tell just using my fingernail, you can kind of feel where that's at. I'll go ahead and use some super glue here. Add just a little bit. We don't need a whole lot for this. And this particular pose is the walking pose, but it's kind of the in motion. So since this Musketeer is going to be walking around, he's looking for something to fight, I'm actually going to turn the optical sensor so it's kind of scanning around. It's not just straight ahead. So I've kind of got it where it's angled in this kind of direction, going a little bit to the left, kind of at a diagonal. So while that finishes drying, we're just going to flip that over and just leave that. So we're going to move on to the legs now. And this particular pose is going to have the left leg kind of backward, like at the back, because it's in motion, and the right leg is lifted up. So it will be hanging, I can either have it about, like it's kind of coming up and about to come down and plant, or I can have it slightly angled down so that it comes into base, or contact with the base, so it just adds a little bit more support. For me, I don't know, I kind of feel like I like the idea of it being lifted up off the ground, so we're going to kind of have it a little bit higher as it's like up and about ready to stomp down. So what we're going to need to do though is we're going to need to glue the left leg first, and we can probably, just to make this easier, we can go ahead and glue this directly to the base. I'll hold the pelvis in my hand just so that I have a better spacing, because what I don't want is to have it kind of falling off of the base, right? I don't want it extending too far. So we're gonna place the left leg pretty far back on the base, and that will give us enough room to really bring the right leg forward without it being way off the base and throwing off the weight of the model and where it starts getting, tipsy. Just let that leg dry there for a brief moment. While that's done, we're moving forward. I know that with the hand here, I'm going to want this to be more, I guess you could describe it as if you were looking at it head on, like an X. So I want it kind of, let's just say sideways, or like an X, like the claws opening up, or it's kind of slightly open. It's not yet ready to grab something because the machine's just walking around, but it's not sealed or like a closed hand like with the braced Musketeer pose. Let that also dry. Let's move on here now to the leg. Again, but this time we're going to be gluing on the pelvis. The pelvis, you have, if you're looking at it, the ball joint up will be where it plugs into the torso. You kind of have an upside down triangle here with kind of like a rounded nose to the triangle. That is going to indicate the front of the pelvis. So when I attach this, look at it from the front. I know that the machine's walking around, so if it ends up being slightly tilted one way, that's okay. But having it lean just about level can work, or we can bring it down slightly so that it's more forward, but that's okay. Now with the leg, for the right leg, have this plugged in, and it is, I'm gonna bring the weight down to where it's just about touching, but it's clear that it's not. You can see the white from underneath, right? And I do want to verify that, yep, it looks pretty good there from the front. So it's about to plant down. And if I wanted, I could put a rock or a piece of debris or a piece of damaged, some other model, right, like that it had destroyed. I could do that if I wanted to raise the leg up a little bit higher to maybe fit like part of a mech or something under there. That could be cool, but I'm not going to do that in this situation, but you know, ideas for you guys at home. So I don't want to put, yeah, we can probably just go for it. So because I normally like to have the face of the machine opposite of the rear arc, I'm going to go ahead and continue that and have this just kind of just marching ahead, just straight on. You might want it where it's kind of looking to the left or to the right, up to you. I'm going to have mine kind of just more straight ahead in this scenario. So it's not really going to be guns up and, you know, about ready to fire at anything. It's more of just, like I said, just walking around. Maybe it's looking for a target. All right. So with the cannon here, we'll glue this one on now because there's not really any reason not to, unlike with the brace where I felt, you know, the cannon kind of waiting a little bit to the end is probably a good idea. So in this case, put a little bit of glue here on the back of it. If you see this triangular pattern, which is very similar, just like with the pelvis, that indicates the top side of the cannon. Go ahead and plug that in. And I'm actually going to have it pretty much at shoulder height. It's not really doing anything. This is just a situation of this WarMech stomping around the field. Okay. For the left arm, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking maybe something like this, or I don't really want it like it's reaching out to anybody. So we'll kind of just have it just kind of just hanging down. Or what we can do is maybe it's using the arm, yeah, like right there. That'll work. Sometimes a little bit of the assembling ends up being different than like the renders that we do, mostly because it's different doing something on the computer versus doing it in person. You kind of just feel it out and kind of, you know, how many musketeers can you have all posed the exact same way, right? I like to give them all a little bit of difference, especially if they're going to be in the same force. Just kind of breaks things up and makes it feel more alive. So I know that the right arm is probably going to be pretty much at a standard angle. Not really going to do anything fancy with this one. So we can just plug that straight in. For the shoulder, if you've never assembled a Musketeer before, you're going to have 3 different panels. Those are at the top, okay? Like if it's at just standard, I'm just standing here, those are going to be the top. The smooth side will be the bottom. And now time for the right arm. Put a little bit of glue, just around. Set this in. You can kind of have it at the like ready position, kind of just aiming straight ahead if you'd like, or you can angle this in different ways. I'm gonna have mine, just like with the cannon, everything just kind of pointing forward. There we go. All right, so we've got the walking Musketeer all set and ready to play. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you would like to purchase one of these models yourself, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to our web store. Bye guys.